I've worked with a lot of people to help them get in the self-storage business and help them grow their self-storage business. And here's what I've learned. About 20% of what it takes to be successful is knowing what to do, the strategies, how to implement them. 80% is your mindset, your relationship to success, your relationship to money. I could work with two people with exactly the same kind of self-storage facility, literally in the same market, implementing the same strategies, and one will be successful and one won't. And the difference is their mindset, how they relate to themselves, to others, and success. One of the things that I do is I read a lot of books to support and empower me as I create and grow my business. I'd like to shift things up a little bit this week and share with you the 5 books that I've read in the past couple years that made a huge difference for me. Hello, my name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. And what I do is I provide training and support for small investors who want to get in the self-storage business or who want to grow their self-storage business, strategically do so in a way that creates true wealth and a fulfilling career. And mindset is everything. And most of the mindset is hidden from our view. It's not something we think about a lot. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we are responsible for how we relate to others, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to money, and how we relate to success. And one of the things I invite you to do is to continually be reading, continually be growing. And what I'd like to do is share with you 5 books that have made a huge difference in my professional and personal life over the past year and a half. Now, there's been a lot more books I've read, and I could have had 15 books, but I just chose 5. And what I'd like to do is share with you the book, the description of the book, and how it impacted me. Now, what I'd like to do is at the end of the year, December 31st, 2018, I'm going to have a drawing on Facebook Live, and in that drawing, I'm going to give one lucky person all 5 of these books. Now, if you're seeing this in 2019 or beyond, that's all right. You won't be in the contest, but you can still read the books. I also have a bonus for you at the end of the episode. Stick around and get what that bonus is. But to be eligible for the drawing, send me an email at mark@helmproperties.com, and in that email, let me know that you have subscribed to the YouTube channel, which hosts these videos, and you're on my email list. I'll be able to tell if you're on my email list. I'll go into my CRM program and validate you there, and I will check in YouTube and see that you subscribed. And if you're on my email list and have subscribed and email me, you'll go in the drawing, and at 6 p.m. December 31st, live on Facebook, I'm going to do a drawing. Now, you don't have to be live to win, but if you win, I'll post it on Facebook, send an email out, and the books will be shipped directly to your house. These are the books that made a huge difference for me over the past few years, and let me share them with you. The order I'm going to do them is alphabetical rather than how they impacted me, because they all impacted me. It's hard for me to tell which is the better book, so I just listed them alphabetically. Here we go. The 10X Rule. The Only Difference Between Success and Failure by Grant Cardone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the description in Amazon, then I'll share with you how it impacted me. Extreme success, by definition, lies beyond the realm of normal action. If you want to achieve extreme success, you can't operate like everybody else and settle for mediocrity. You need to remove luck and chance from your business equation and lock in massive success. The 10X rule shows you how. Success is your duty, obligation, and responsibility. And this book gives you the step-by-step guidance on how to achieve it. In this book, you'll reach goals that you previously thought impossible, correctly set goals that guarantee their achievement, create unprecedented levels of happiness and satisfaction in every area of your life, use fear as fuel to move you into action, and get everything you want and never have to settle. So what this book really did for me is it freed me up in many ways. I always had this nagging feeling like a background conversation that something was wrong. Much of what we do to create a business and to grow our business occurs extremely hard, and I realized from reading this book that I had the expectation, not consciously, but I had the expectation that if everything was going right, it should be easy. And since it occurred hard to me, then something's wrong, and most likely something's wrong with me. And what this book did is it totally freed me up from that conversation and allowed me to go into action and get a lot more accomplished. Great book, highly recommend it. And Grant Cardone, the author, is a very unique character. He has some very extreme views. I don't always agree with him politically, but I really enjoyed his personality and I enjoyed getting into his head. The 10X Rule is a great book if you're getting in or growing your business. The next book that had a huge impact on me was Essentialism. Let me share with you the Amazon description of the book. Have you ever found yourself stretched too thin? Do you simultaneously feel overworked and underutilized? Are you often busy but not productive? Do you feel like your time is constantly being hijacked by other people's agendas? If you answered yes to any of these, the way out is the way of the essentialist. The way of the essentialist isn't about getting more done in less time. It's about getting the right things done. It's not time management strategy or productivity techniques. It's a systematic discipline for discerning what is absolutely essential, then eliminating everything that's not so we can make the highest possible contribution towards the things that really matter. It may seem counterproductive for those of us that create huge goals to be reading a book and being inspired and motivated by a book called Essentialism, but it really is a powerful book. What it allowed me to do was to really look at myself, and it freed me up to focus on the things that were important to fulfill my vision of what I have for my self-storage company and begin to eliminate out of my life the things that hold me back. Anything that's not a critical activity towards the fulfillment of my vision is something that's getting in my way. And I never related to that because it all seemed so important before. I feel empowered every time I read or every time I review this book. And it's not about doing less, it's about doing what's important. Very powerful book. Book number 3 is Good to Great by Jim Collins. This is an older book, but I had never read it, and I remember I read it twice straight through. Built to Last, the defining management study of the 90s showed how great companies triumph over time and how long-term sustained performance can be engineered into the DNA of an enterprise from the very beginning. But what about companies that are not born with great DNA? How can good companies, even bad companies, achieve enduring greatness? Over 5 years, Jim Collins and his research team analyzed the histories of 28 companies, discovering why some companies make the leap and others don't. What I liked about this book is it got me really focused on creating a culture and being responsible for the culture inside my self-storage business, and to be responsible for the leadership and who's in leadership positions inside my company. You know, anyone can start a company, but very few companies last more than 5 years. Very, very few companies last more than 10 years. And just a handful of companies become the kind of company that impacts the industry of the world. To be that kind of company requires certain structures in place. And this book really opened my eyes to what those structures might look like for my self-storage company. Good to great. Awesome book. Book number 4 is called This Is Marketing by Seth Godin, a new book. I just finished it. Let me share with you what Amazon says about it. Game-changing approach to marketing, sales, and advertising by the best-selling author and renowned business thinker Seth Godin. Seth Godin has taught and inspired millions of entrepreneurs, marketers, leaders, and has fans from all walks of life via his blog, online courses, lectures, and best-selling books. No matter what product or service, this book will teach you how to reframe and how it's presented to the world in order to be meaningfully connected with people who want it. The landscape of marketing for self-storage has dramatically changed over the last 5, 6, 7 years. What we did 10 years ago and even in the 90s is absolutely obsolete. In the old days, marketing and advertising were pretty much the same thing. Now they are two distinctly different things, and most people collapse them, especially as they're trying to promote their self-storage business. This book helped open my eyes to what marketing in today's world needs to look like, needs to feel like, and how to position ourselves in a way that the customer feels empowered. If the customer feels empowered, then the customer wants to do business with you. Great book, especially if you're accountable or want to know more about the marketing of your business and your brand. And the final book that I loved, and I just love it, it's kind of different from the other books, is called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. From the author of the New York Times #1 best-selling The Untethered Soul comes an astonishing, true-to-life story about what happens when you let go. A thriving spiritual community on over 600 acres of forest and meadows in Florida, and a cutting-edge software company that transformed the medical practice management industry, and a billion-dollar public companies whose achievements were archived in the Smithsonian Institute. This New York Times bestseller and Oprah favorite experienced a massive raid by the FBI that would lead to the unfounded accusations by the U.S. government, and all of this sprang from a man who decided to live alone in the middle of the woods. Michael Singer, the author of The Untethered Soul, tells the extraordinary story of what happens after a deep spiritual awakening and he decides to let go of his personal preferences and simply let life call the shots. Singer takes you on this great experiment and journey into life's perfections. The events that transpired were both challenging and will challenge you in the deepest way and with the assumptions you have about life. It'll inspire you to look at your own life in a radically different way. This is one of the most interesting books I've ever read, and it's a true story. This gentleman built a billion-dollar publicly traded company, and most of us business owners have much of our identity tied up with what we do. And this book really explores how to separate what you do from who you are, and how to let go and let life's perfection unfold in front of you. Very inspiring book, true story, and much of the spiritual practices that the author has are the same ones that I do. This book really demonstrates to me what's possible for a human being to do in life. I think you'll love it, and it's a easy read, fast read, and a compelling story. Now I'm going to give you a bonus here. Those are the books I've read over the past couple years that made a huge difference for me. But let me share with you a couple of books that, if you haven't read, in my opinion, are must-reads. The first one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This was written in the 1920s, and I was in my 20s when I first read it. And it opened my eyes to what a person can do with the power of their mind. How a person can literally create a future using, first of all, thought and the mind. And it opened up a whole new world for me. All of a sudden, things that were previously not possible for me suddenly became possible. I reread this book every year, just about. And every time I read it, I'm inspired. I get something new from it. If you haven't read it, read it. It's one of the classics. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was written in the 20s. Some of the words and the language are not how we speak today, but for me, that even adds some of the magic to it. The next book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I happened to read that book early on in my professional career, and it has been the compass, the true north for me, and it helps guide me to living a principle-centered life and running a principle-centered business. If you want to dive into the world of how to be effective and principle-centered at the same time, this book is a must-read. And here's a bonus. Very few people know about this, but a book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. This book was written in 1910, and I'll bet any amount of money that Napoleon Hill read it. And what's interesting is Wallace Wattles died in 1911. So in many ways, this book, he was on this earth to write this book. Now, Wallace Wattles was a New Thought minister in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The New Thought is a truly American spiritual movement that started in the late 1800s, and the science of mind, Christian Science, unity churches, all sprung out of the New Thought movement. And he was a minister inside that movement. And this book is a step-by-step guide on how to create financial wealth using spiritual principles. It's not for everybody. If you're a very traditional Christian, this may bump up against some of your beliefs, but I find it fascinating. And it is a book, I'm literally continually reading it. I'm never not reading it. And here's my gift to you. It's free online, and in the YouTube channel and in the blog 189 at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com, there'll be a link to download a free version of this book if you want it. That's my bonus for staying through this video. So those are the books that have made a difference for me. Remember, your mindset is more important than anything else in the achievement of your success in the self-storage business. So always be feeding your mind positive, uplifting, inspiring information so that you can create and fulfill what you're up to in the storage business. Read on. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer, financial analysis tool we use to analyze cash flows of self-storage. And remember, there'll be a drawing, 6 p.m., December 31st, live, Facebook Live. Join the Facebook group so you can watch it, but send me an email, mark@helmproperties.com, after you've gotten on my email list at creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com, and after you subscribe to the YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search Mark Helm Self Storage, subscribe. Do those, you'll be in the drawing, and one person's going to win all 5 books delivered to their house. Thanks a lot. See you next week.